And welcome. You're watching Mirror Now. I'm Grihatul Siddiqui. Let's get you the story that we're tracking at this hour. And Telangana Minister K.T. Ramarao and Karnataka Congress Chief D.K. Shivakumar were seen engaging in a friendly banter on Twitter, hailing their capital cities of Hyderabad and Bengaluru, respectively. Now, taking veiled potshots at the growing religious divide in Karnataka, the Telangana minister has said that Bengaluru and Hyderabad must have a healthy competition in the spheres of job creation and infrastructural development and not over halal and hijab. To which D.K. Shivakumar, in fact, responded saying that Congress will be restoring Bengaluru's lost glory as India's best city once it's back in power in the year 2023.
It is really joke. You can't compare Bengaluru with Hyderabad. Never. The whole world is coming here. The whole world is coming here, and highest number of startups are in Bangalore. And highest number of unicorns are in Bangalore, and they are still coming. We have opened the doors for the whole world.
My colleague Neha Ibale joins me on the broadcast. Neha, the Chief Minister of Karnataka is clearly calling this entire banter a joke. No comparison between Bangalore and Hyderabad, he says.
That's right, Griha. On his part, in fact, he's gone to back this up with some figures that you heard in his bite, wherein he also says that, for the past 3 quarters, the highest FDI or the foreign direct investment has been in the state of Karnataka. In fact, it's not only the Karnataka Chief Minister, but also, for that matter, the Karnataka ITBT Minister, Dr. Ashwath Narayan, too, has said that, Karnataka is not competing locally, but in fact, globally. And Karnataka is not competing with other states, but in fact, on a global platform. So, having said that, of course, it is imperative to go back to the root of where this entire debate started. Very pertinent issues that were pointed out by the startup founder over here in Bengaluru city, wherein he goes on to say that the basic infrastructure, be it roads, be it water, be it in fact the commute itself across the city, in fact, has become a nightmare. And he's gone on to point out many pertinent issues and said that despite paying millions in taxes, we're in fact, now seeing how, this isn't translating into infrastructure on ground. And that's where, in fact, K.T. Ramarao, the Telangana minister, had picked up and said that, you should consider moving to Hyderabad, where the infrastructure is much better and the airport is quite accessible. Now, as far as both the states over here, of course, are concerned, this has been healthy banter that's gone on between both the states. But the ITBT Minister of Karnataka also saying that, this isn't in good spirit and that states shouldn't essentially be competing with each other, but globally. Now, very quickly to sum up, Riha, since this is the election season, Karnataka will, in fact, be seeing the General Assembly elections in a few months from now. There is a slight political undertone to this. And in fact, that is something that, cannot exactly be ignored, because D.K. Shivakumar, the Congress president, also now has jumped into this debate, and he has in fact said that, he's going to take this up as a challenge in the state of Karnataka, that by 2023, the Congress party would come back to power and in fact, they would restore the glory of Bangalore as the best city of India. So, one aspect of this, of course, being the fact that the infrastructure issues have been something that we have been highlighting, that citizens have, in fact, been struggling with. And the second being the fact that the matter has now turned political.
All right, Neha, thank you so much for joining us with all those details there. So an important debate on which city is the best, which is India's best city, whether it is Bengaluru, whether it is Hyderabad, has in fact started. And we continue to actually, talk about what is it that makes a city really best. So we're talking about the IT hubs of the nation here. To discuss this further, I'm joined on the broadcast by Mr. Krishank Mani of the TRS. Also joining me on the broadcast is Ms. Sneha Priya, who's the CEO and co-founder of SP Robotic Works, and Ankush Sabharwal, who is the co-founder of Corover AI. It's an IT expert and which is in fact Bangalore-based. Mr. Sabharwal, thank you so much for joining me. Also Sneha and Mr. Mani, thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast. Now, like I was mentioning, a conversation, whether it is in the way of friendly banter, has started. Now, I'll take it to you first, Krishank. The fact that this conversation is essential, because here we're talking about infrastructural requirements and the growth also about inclusive development, and also the needs that are to do with the startups that have sprung up, especially in the cities of Hyderabad and Bengaluru. So that actually remains and that actually needs to be taken forward.
Well, Siddiqui ji, the point our Honorable Minister KTRG has put across is policy of the government of Telangana, which believes in innovation, infrastructure, and inclusive growth. And what is happening today in Karnataka, what is news from a couple of months for several reasons, is actually a debatable point. It's not KTRG which is pointing out. We are seeing every day national news discussing it. Karnataka has been a point of debate for students fighting against each other over attack, people fighting over food habits, the contractors writing to Honorable Prime Minister calling it a 40% Karnataka Commission government, and industrialists like Kiran Mazumdar Shahji also commenting on the intolerance, increasing intolerance in Karnataka. Then, when many people have tweeted over the issues of Karnataka, then our Honorable IT Minister KTRG taking the liberty. I'd like to remind that this is no wrong. If you remember, when Kitex planned to quit Kerala, Honorable Union Minister MOS Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar invited them to Karnataka. Well, the later thing was Kitex took a decision to come to Telangana. So in the same lines, today KTRG has invited that Telangana is also a destination which believes in inclusive growth, and why not? But one thing, there is no ill feeling towards Karnataka or what is happening towards Karnataka, because yes, we appreciate the Silicon Valley in Bengaluru, which has been our inspiration, and healthy competition should always be accepted. Unlike the ministers from Karnataka, how they've been reacting towards these statements, well, which is really untoward. Rather, they should actually settle the issues which are showing Karnataka in bad light today.
All right. Sneha, I'll come to you now. The fact that this particular conversation started after Mr. Ravish Naresh, who is also a founder of one of the startups that's based out of Bengaluru, really commented on the kind of infrastructural requirements that the city needs. And he clearly mentions bad roads over here. He also mentions power cuts, that the various startups have to battle on a daily basis. Also, water supply. It's not just shortage of water, it's also bad water. Now, you are based out of one of the poshest areas of Bangalore. We're talking about the HRS layout. Do you see these problems on ground, and what has been done so far? Do you think there's something that has been done so far when it comes to these infrastructural requirement of the IT hub of the nation?
See, when we talk about IT infrastructure, we shouldn't just leave out the, I would say, just the building and those things alone. So we are talking about HSR layout as such is an amazing place where, there's extremely great, I would say, environment for all the startups here. The kind of talent pool available, the kind of environment that keeps us all running and keeps us all encouraged. That's what it is all about. And of course, there are challenges. See, I would say in every place out there, especially now that COVID is all done and everything is getting back to normal, I think there is a little bit of catch up that needs to be done. But other than that, I think the environment is what that matters a lot. And I think that's amazing.
Okay, Ankush, the Chief Minister of Karnataka has gone ahead and called this entire comparison a joke. Do you concur, or do you think there is much to be done on ground?
I'll tell you what I see. I have been in Bangalore for around 18 years. And I've been to the Silicon Valley. I stayed there. I've been to France, London for a couple of weeks now. I don't see the ecosystem as anywhere else in the world as we see in Bangalore, right? So rightly said by the panelists earlier. So we see the tech. I think 80% of the people I meet, even in the restaurants or any gathering, are just talking about the tech. And it's not just tech coming from the engineers, right? I think the government has provided the ecosystem. So we are 5 years old company. I'll tell you, the seed money came from Karnataka startup. They have elevation fund, and they encourage around 100 startups every year. So we get the seed fund, we get the paid pilot opportunities, we get exemptions in various RFPs tenders. So if you see, the startups are coming up. When the startups come up, right, I was the first to start, and then two co-founders, and now we are a team of 28 people in Karnataka, right? So when someone supports you from the government, from the industry ecosystem, so and when we compare ourselves in London, Silicon Valley, it's not we saying we are the best, and people there on the other side of the world, even they acknowledge, hey, Bangalore, hey, you're from the Silicon Valley, and Silicon Valley, whatever was their
Okay,
problem.
so Ankush, when you have a person like Kiran Majumdar Shaw, who reaches out to the Chief Minister of the state and says that there is a growing divide in the state, there is a lot of economic exclusion that is happening, and this particular word that came out from TRS Minister KT Ramarao, where he's talking about halal and hijab, there is more to do with all of that, than just this when it comes to the state of Telangana. How do you actually take it? Do you think this is hampering business?
See, if you focus on this, yes, but again, I focus on the good things, right? So I met Miss Kiran Majumdar, and when I spoke, right, she talks about the growth. She talks about how the business should be done. Yes, there are these things can bother few people, but if the focus is all about the growth, if it's all about the right ecosystem, you talk to the right people, learn from the others, and just keep improving as individuals, as company, as state, and as a nation. Then I think other things would have less importance. I'm not saying we'll not give the importance. We have to give the importance to other things, but there are right things which are happening. If we enhance those right things, I think it will put India further strong in the global ecosystem.
Right. And Krishank, while this conversation really ensued on social media, BJP wasn't too happy, calling this particular comment by Mr. KT Ramarao in bad taste. How do you respond to that?
As a political party, probably that would have caused them some embarrassment, because they are there. They call themselves a double engine sarkar, and their double engine sarkar is right now troubled, because law and order wise, you see issues, you see youngsters fighting out there. One thing I'd like to tell you, Siddiqui ji, see, each citizen loves his own land. We love our Telangana and Hyderabad too. And one thing we can assure you is, if rather than comparing it as a race of best IT city, what I can assure you is, our Honorable Minister KTRG always emphasizes on life sciences, pharma hub, defense corridor. We've been a vaccine capital too. So while startups or industries have been a hub in Hyderabad, this is the priority which we debate on. We do not talk about which individual eats what, which individual has to wear what, or commissions of contractors. There is wonderful TS iPass, wherein you do not have any human interface for industries to acquire permissions. It is purely digital. So when policies and practice of the government emphasizes on inclusiveness, then that is the actual business destination, rather than what Twitterati or the social media is discussing about how they're being harassed in Karnataka or Bengaluru. So that is the point of the bone contention,
Right.
where Hyderabad or Telangana would attract the business investors too.
Right, Krishank, you can call me Griha. Now, I'll take the same question to Mr. Mohan Krishna of the BJP, who's just joined us for this discussion. Now, Mr. Mohan Krishna, the fact that BJP did not find Mr. Ramarao's tweet in a good taste, do they want to remain on the hijab and halal controversy? The argument here is that this kind of communal politics is working well for BJP and its vote bank.
Good afternoon, Ruha. I've heard patiently what Mr. Krishank was talking, and Mr. Anuj also I heard about it. I would like to mention 2-3 things here. Bangalore is or Karnataka Bangalore is it is called the Silicon Valley of India. Not just because of other issues, because of the infrastructure, because of the environment, because of the people around, and the kind of cooperation what they are getting from the government all these years, and they are going to get in future also. Coming to the point what KTR has made, if you would have been in that position, if Karnataka would have tweeted in the same way, did Krishank would have been so easily taken? He would have taken it so easily? Yes, I agree. Telangana is a growing state. It has got future and it has to grow to make India a superpower. But it doesn't mean that these kind of tweets are going to help Telangana for any reason. This is today for Karnataka, tomorrow for rest of India. Now I would like to ask a question to Krishank. Now that there is an unrest in West Bengal, the killings have happened. Why you have not called people from West Bengal? Why it is only from Karnataka, Krishank? Why your KTR is not having any eye on that? These are all the politics which they are planning to play. And
All right. Mr. Krishna and Mr. Mane, thank you so much. Actually, I would let me ask the questions here because I just want to end this conversation on this one thing that has also come from Congress's side. And I'd want both of you to respond to this, both Krishank and Mr. Mohan Krishna. Do you think there is also politicking in the garb of this friendly banter that has actually ensued after this particular incident was brought to light by one of the startup founders? Is this Congress's poll push ahead of elections in Karnataka?
Absolutely. Absolutely. See, yesterday also I told in the same show, I told you that Mr. D.K. Shivkumar, वो हसीन सपना देख रहा है. हसीन सपना ही है वो कांग्रेस का. See what KTR is talking about double engine sarkar ka failure. Let me tell you, Mr. Krishank, Mr. Krishank, sorry, I told about KTR. Mr. Krishank, see, we have a best infrastructure, as our Chief Minister has said in his words, in his own mouth, through his own mouth, he has said that we are going to give the best infrastructure. On your mirror now, on Urban Debate Show, I have told, in next 6 months, that's about week 10 days back, I have told this to you. In next 6 months, you will have the best roads and best infrastructure in Bangalore. Our IT capital city, that tag is going to be taken care. It is not just because some startup, Kiran Mazumdar Shah spoke, all these things these are all matters. Yes, there should be criticism. I agree, and we welcome criticism. We would like to improve upon the criticism, but it doesn't mean that it's on the very bad taste, Gruha. It's on the very bad taste that the KTR has tweeted like this. And very, very nicely.
We all actually agree on this one thing, that we should actually work towards making India better. So whether India's best city is Hyderabad or Bangalore, we'll let the people decide. We have to agree on this one thing, that a healthy conversation on job creation, infrastructure building, and also more importantly, inclusive development has started here. I'd like to thank my guests on that very note, and I'll slip into break with that. But coming up on the other side, it is BJP-led municipal bodies of South and East Delhi seeking closure of meat shops during Navratri. I'm getting you all the details about this story on the other side of this very short break.